Somewhere out there, there's a Charlton Heston on the beach damning Twitter to hell for this being a thing. Sharknado 2, the second one, and yes, that is... I can't believe that's what it's actually called, but that's what it's called. So Sharknado 2 follows our two main characters from the last movie. April, played once again by Tara Reid, and the SyFy channel's walking shark pun, Finn, played by Ian Ziering. I have no idea how his last name is pronounced. So they are on a flight to New York for... It's not really explained why. But their plane gets caught in a second Sharknado, and this results in April losing her hand to a shark. So April is hospitalized, and Finn goes out to try to stop the second Sharknado, but also find his sister, Ellen Brody. Oh, I just realized that was a Jaws reference. And her husband, Martin Brody. Very clever asylum. And basically get them to safety. You ever see those lists on the internet about the Twitter fails where it has a picture of a dodo bird cross-eyed and just shows a compilation of the biggest Twitter fails? Like when people didn't know that the sinking of the Titanic was an actual event until the 3D re-release of the James Cameron movie. Or when people kept posting pictures of Morgan Freeman when Nelson Mandela died. Or when Steven Spielberg was accused of shooting and killing a triceratops 21 years ago. So, Twitter, as useful as it can be sometimes, it can also just be a breeding ground for a bunch of idiots. And these Sharknado movies are definitely the result of idiots spreading the word around until something gets popular. Because with the first Sharknado, you can check out my review for that, I've said it's something that you don't waste your money on unless, well, I mean, it's a TV movie, so you wouldn't have to. But don't watch it unless you're drunk or high. Because that movie really got across by its name. It wasn't that all exciting. They tried to put in some dramatic moments that just didn't work. So with the second one, they actually do embrace the name Sharknado even further. So that's definitely a plus, that they definitely went more insane. I mean, there are scenes where sharks are getting smacked across Met Stadium by a baseball bat. There's sharks getting cut in half by chainsaws and katana blades. Tara Reid even gets a buzzsaw hand, just like Ash's chainsaw hand from Evil Dead 2. But that being said, this movie is just pretty much as bad as the first Sharknado, because not only is the insanity upped in this movie, but also the drama is just pumped up also, which it's like, who gives a fucking rat's ass shit? You didn't make me care for these characters in the last movie. Why are you trying to push this on me this second time around? I mean, I could definitely get past the crappy CG effects because that's the asylum. I could get past the very grim look of the movie where it always looks like it's foggy. The asylum is just never good at drama at all. When you make a movie that's so bad it's good, you have to embrace it fully and not really do anything that would be considered coherent storytelling or real dramatic moments. Because in the first Sharknado, and especially this one, we don't give a shit. The best examples I can think of are Crank and especially Crank High Voltage. These movies know what they are and embrace the silliness to the nth degree and never ask you to feel anything for Chev Chelios or his girlfriend played by Amy Smart. But back to Sharknado, the fact that it just asks you to care about the characters, you're like, I really had to yawn there, but that was perfect timing for what I had to say. Ugh. There are also some weird moments where they have Matt Lauer and Al Roker from the Today Show. There are segments of them that just pop in covering the Sharknado news story. And I have no idea what, like, it really feels out of place. Especially the scene when there's an actual CG shark in their room. And it's filmed by the Today Show crewmen, not by the asylum. It just feels out of place. And also, it just proves that Al Roker and Matt Lauer, for playing themselves, are better actors than anyone in this movie except for the cab driver played by Judd Hirsch, which, if there was any at all redeeming value of this movie, I actually liked Judd Hirsch in this movie. Also, it's too soon for me to see shameless product placement for one product. Because after seeing Sex Tape, I was like, wow, this is the worst product placement for just one product. Nope, Sharknado 2 has that beat. There are just blatant ads for Subway, and they are not shy about it at all. And there's even a point where, this is just ridiculous beyond belief, Jared, the Subway guy, is sitting in the subway station in New York, eating a Subway, telling the guy sitting next to him to eat a Subway, as a Subway sign is right behind him. It's like the inception of cheesy product placement. It just keeps piling up. Here's another thing that I just really gotta complain about. Aside from the Asylum just kind of failing at drama and just trying to make a, like, honest-to-God true movie, instead of embracing the silliness 100% like the Crank movies do, they have all these setup scenarios that could be clever, cool, or even just funny. Like Jared from Subway, there's a scene where the New York subways are getting flooded by sharks. That would have been a really cool opportunity to have him just get eaten. That would have been hysterical, but no. The water goes past, the sharks go past in the subway station, in the water, and not once does Jared get eaten. He's only there just to sell Subway sandwiches, which it's very similar to in the first Sharknado when they come across a movie car rental place and steal just some shitty-ass Hummer when you could have stolen the DeLorean from Back to the Future, Kit from Knight Rider, Ecto-1 from Ghostbusters, a Batmobile, for God's sakes. I would have been awesome to see the Batmobile just driving around. Like, you had this setup, and you don't take advantage of it at all. And it's just the Asylum, when you get down to it, the Asylum is too lazy to really take things to the extreme. They think they could just get by on the name alone, Sharknado, but they gotta take advice from Tropic Thunder and just go full retard. The reason the Crank movies work so well is that they just embrace it 100% and just use everything they can to their advantage, but also be creative at the same time. Sharknado 2 just kind of blends in with the other Asylum movies and tries to go the same tropes as just regular stupid blockbusters. In a movie like The Room or Birdemic, as much as I hate the latter, what made those movies so bad that they're good? Yes, I do admit that for Birdemic. The filmmakers think that they're making something great, and it just ends up being awful. So my point is, it feels like the Asylum is making these Sharknado movies saying, look, we know this is stupid. I mean, look at the name of the movie. And that's all I got, because they try to go the route of if they're trying to make a serious movie rather than... okay, a more prominent example than the Crank movies is Piranha 3D. That's the perfect example of a killer fish movie that just goes completely insane and uses everything it has at its disposal. One other issue that I really just gotta bring up for Sharknado 2 is that I watched this when I recorded it on my DVR when it first aired. I noticed that right at the first commercial break, there was a little segment called What the Shark, and they would post up Twitter posts about what people have just seen in the movie. And then as the movie played on, I noticed that each segment before the next commercial break had something just insane happen. And then it would cut to a still of whatever that insane thing was, whether it was the main character leapfrogging on sharks like it's Frogger, or Tara Reid getting a buzzsaw hand. And it just shows a still of that, and then the Twitter post, and I'm just like, oh my god, this movie was made solely to get Twitter reactions, and that's why it's as popular as it is. I mean, like, it doesn't... okay, I'm just rambling at this point, so I'll just wrap it up. Sharknado 2 just... it just doesn't embrace the silliness. I mean, it is sillier, but it also tries to be more dramatic. So because of the amped up silliness, but amped up drama also, it just ends up being as bad as the first Sharknado was. So, I'm gonna say, you know, because this is a TV movie, I'll just modify my rating to don't waste your time on this, because you can't pay for Sharknado at all. You could just record it on the SyFy channel and not have to pay a dime. Now, before I go, here's what my suggestion for what they should do with the third Sharknado, because one is going to happen. Take it to space. I mean, the Asylum is a cheap production company, but just take it to space, have a space Sharknado, and just screw all the drama. Just have The main character's going up there just being batshit insane. Taking out Sharknado's in space, I would probably watch that and like it for being just so bad it's good. But these Sharknado movies, because they try to be too dramatic, they just don't work at all. Anyway, that's my review for Sharknado 2. Leave a comment and tell me what you thought of the movie. Subscribe to my channel for more stuff in the future. You can check out my video blog channel, AlexG8462. You can find links to my Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, and Instagram accounts on this YouTube page. Go check me out on letterboxd.com under the name Mr. Robinson. And go check out my written reviews on Geeked Out Nation. Share them with your friends and tell them about me. And remember to know it before you see it. This is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one. I'll see you guys later.